Drumbones take 3 people to play, which created a problem when I made my first video about how to make one, because I could only get one grandson to help me. So I threw together a frame to help support it so that it could be played by just 2 people. It worked so well that I realized that I could expand the concept, and with a few modifications to the trombone itself, could make an instrument that could be played solo by a single player. This video explains how to do it, along with several other modifications that makes the trombone more fun to play and more entertaining to watch. The first thing I did was split the trombone into 2 sections, the bass and the alto. What this allows me to do is get a greater range of notes. For example, the next thing I did is I mounted the movable 4-inch lengths of PVC onto 2x4s, and those 2x4s are mounted on sliding pieces of plywood so that they can be moved with my feet to adjust the tone. If I had to do it again, I would have mounted the base pieces of plywood onto linear bearings, which you can get from any hardware store in the kitchen hardware section. They'd be a lot quieter and they'd run a little truer, but this works pretty good. For example, it's sort of nice. The dimensions are approximately 28 inches to the bottom of the tube here, and 34 to the bottom here. I have these staggered, so if someone is watching this, they can see both tubes moving. The main thing is that you just want this high enough so that your knees don't hit the bottom, and it's at a convenient playing distance. The moving pieces of plywood are approximately 12 inches wide and 4 feet long, and the base plate is a piece of 2-foot by 4-foot plywood. When constructing this, you want to be careful that any screws you use on the sliders don't extend down far enough so that they can cut into the base plate of the framework itself, or they'll start cutting grooves and it won't slide very smoothly. The next thing I did was to cover the drum head, or drum reed if you prefer, with a thin layer of felt. What this did is that it mellowed out the sound. If you just hit this on the reed material by itself, because this is fairly hard and the ends of the sticks are fairly hard, you get a tapping noise which interferes with the resonance going on in the tubes. This gets rid of a lot of that tapping noise. Another thing I found that helped a lot is, rather than using sticks, I mounted soft rubber balls on the end of the sticks, and that helped, again, mellow out the sound. And I think the reason is if you use a stick and you hit this like this, you're actually creasing the reed, and it pops back in 2 different places, so you get a rougher sound. With the spheres on the end of the sticks, it gets more of a dimple, and it's a purer sound. If you put your trombone together and you're not quite happy with the way it sounds, you can cut the tubes shorter to make it higher, and if you want to make it longer, get a 3-inch slip and a short piece of the 3-inch tubing, combine them and just slip it on the end. It's surprising how much just a few extra inches added onto one of these tubes will lower the tone. For example, the next thing I did was to improve the cosmetics of the trombone. I added 3-inch by 4-inch adapters to the end of the straight sections that are facing the audience if you're giving a performance, and down at the end of the 4-inch tubes, put on 4-inch by 4-inch 90-degree elbows. These 2 things tend to lower the tone of both instruments a little bit, but more importantly, they redirect the sound out towards anyone who might be listening to it. If you're wondering what these little colored plastic things are, that's an effort to add a little bling to the trombone. I started by taking some of these children's bracelets which are sound activated. I took the wristband off and just used double-faced foam tape to attach them at the bottoms of each of the sound cones. And what that lets me do is when I play, they light up in response to the sound, and it adds a lot of flash to the instrument and makes it more entertaining. I've turned the lights down so you can get a better idea of how these work. It's kind of nice. One final addition would be to use a couple of lapel mics clipped to the bells of the Drumbone and put into a regular guitar amplifier. You might need to get some adapters to get the two inputs in and to fit the 1/4-inch plug, but that's fairly easy to do. I'm not going to demonstrate that because if I did, it would blow out my microphone. But you make these changes, and I think you'll have a lot more fun with your Drumbone. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. For hundreds of more articles covering everything from how to make chocolate to the strange world of lucid dreaming, I hope you'll visit my main website, waynesthistandthat.com.